sometimes you can tell what it is by how it sounds. Like a heart piece has a unique sound, or if it's rupees. You could also look at the rupee counter, but audio helps.
We are off, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, if you are new to this tournament is being conducted in the open mode, which means the game begins with Zelda already rescued, but no chests open. Our runners get to pick their starting point between either Link's house or Sanctuary, but they will start off with absolutely no items. And that includes no sword, as you see Jighart here trying to take out some of the guards with bushes, which I just love. I think this is hilarious. But
rough start. Yeah, he threw the first 3 bushes. It takes 3 to kill a single guard, but unfortunately they were distributed between the 2 guards, so neither of them died instead of one of them. He got tracked down there and killed. This is a start that we saw Ben and Chris both do in their race. Pretty much the exact same start. Start at Link's house and then go to the castle. Whereas Fred is doing the common Houlihan start. Start by getting a lot of rupees to get you well on your way towards Zora, and also plenty to buy the merchant item. All right, here's going to try again. This time it's going to go perfectly. That's exactly what it was supposed to look like the first time.
Jighart did do a map check. Yeah, we saw that crystal number 6 was at Desert Palace. Crystal number 4 was at Tower of Hera. But Eastern Palace is a pendant dungeon. There we go.
That's interesting. In this logic especially, I'd say it's quite common to go to Eastern early, especially if you do find the bow early. But even if you don't, it's still pretty common to go there early.
Nothing doing there in the original fall to the sewers there, just getting +5 bombs from the chest and 5 rupees from the uncle, and finding a key in the sanctuary chest. Nothing doing here early on for Jighart. Meanwhile, Fred is going to explore Kakariko Village here, but notice he only has 1 bomb.
Yeah, he'll probably use that to open up the restock shed in the southwest corner of Kakariko Town. Stock up on bombs and arrows there. Or maybe he'll take a risk. I wouldn't be too risky, I think, personally. I like to take some little risks that aren't too impactful, but oftentimes just doing whatever's consistent works. Oh, and the hoarder dropping bombs. That's actually really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Odds of that. Now, that drop from the hoarder is randomized in this version of the randomizer, so incredibly lucky that it was bombs. Sometimes it can be rupees, sometimes it can be heart pieces. I did not see the item that was on the lumberjack cave there.
Looked like a green potion. Yeah, and Fred actually used his 1 bomb to open this door here and got bombs, so he's good to go now in that regard.
Rather be lucky than good any day. So green goo, the chat says, was on the on lumberjack cave. So Fred's going to be falling down into one of our first treasure troves here in Kakariko Village. There's the power glove.
A nice thing to get early.
Absolutely. And that's got to be the wrong king.
Close enough. Ooh, a sword early.
Very, very nice. So we're not going to see any of the fun strategies like, say trying to kill landmullas with the cane of Samaria. We got swords.
Well, they might try that anyway for fun.
That's true. Just for S's and G's, right?
Yeah.
Here's our next treasure trove of items here in Kakariko Village for Fred. We got a boggle.
Nice.
Absolutely. And flippers.
Yeah, he'll be able to get an item from the sick kid right away.
It means he won't have to take another trip back to Kakariko Village until he gets, say, the mirror and the Titansmiths and the hammer.
Yep.
So, and in this version of the randomizer, they did. If you haven't watched in a while, we have added 2 chests to the wishing well right by Zora, so making the northeast corner of the map even more important than it was in previous versions. So now that they have the flippers, it might be time to take a dive into Lake Hylia and take a whirlpool up to Zora's realm.
Yeah, they'll be able to get 3 out of the 4 items there with what they have now. The only one they won't be able to get, of course, is the Zora King's item, which they'll need a little more cash for.
Oh, often a life lesson, though.
Yeah.
So Fred looks like he's going to go in and check the Lost Woods. He may go check the Lumberjack, but that could be out of the way of the route that he's taken here.
Yeah, I'd probably go up and check it. I do like that peace of mind, but some players like to just save and quit and not have to travel across the overworld at all. And based on how he moved here, I'm going to assume that he's going to save and quit, yeah.
Now the question is, do you go over to Sahasrara and the 3 items in the locker behind him, or do you dive on in and take the go over to Zora? Inquiring minds want to know. Looks like Fred says, nope, I got 3 items in the escape dungeon I can go grab really fast here.
Yeah, and he already has the key. He doesn't have a lamp, but if he's comfortable in the dark, he may backtrack for the other chest. That is a tough one to find, actually, in the dark.
Got some literacy there. All right, so that opens up a desert palace, but won't be able to complete it.
No, not just yet.
It's another thing about the open mode of the randomizer is that you do not get a light cone anywhere. So in standard mode, regardless of whether or not you have the lamp, you will get a light cone in escape. In open mode, you better have the lamp before you can get into any dark rooms. So there's that one chest in escape that is still elusive. Oh my gosh, there are the boots.
Oh yeah, and with those he'll be able to get the hook shot, which is in the library. Nice and early. So Jighart's going to get these 300 rupees at the race game. Fred, since he did the south to north Kakariko route, didn't want to go all the way back down to get him. I don't think it would have been a terrible idea to do so. But just because he only had a single bomb, he didn't want to waste it there and not be able to open up anything in Kakariko town.
If Dora has a progression item, this could be a very pivotal moment in the game here with Jighart collecting that 300 rupees, which I did not see his rupee count, but that's going to certainly get him very close to the 500 needed for Zora.
Yeah, he's still not quite there because he didn't do the Houlihan route early.
All right, we got Mini Moldorm Cave here with the bomb upgrade. Oh my gosh, we got the magic mirror. We got bombs. All right, so the mirror is great to have, but immediately at this moment, it's not really helping Fred out because he doesn't have a way into the dark world at the moment.
Yeah. Still a great find, though.
Absolutely. Right now, our runners really want to find a fire source, because that will enable them to complete Desert Palace. They can get in with the book, cannot complete it without a fire source.
Right. In fact, Fred may check out the race game while he's here. Oh, he's not going to. Maybe he will.
But he's definitely going to get his hook shot.
Yeah, in fact, I think this is probably a better way to do it. If he does want to get those rupees. Okay, he does not. You want to do the slower thing second if your plan is just to save and quit afterwards, so you don't have to backtrack from it.
Where is Fred gonna go now? Okay, so we got bonk rocks.
Yeah, when you get an item that opens up a few specific locations, it's not a bad idea to check them right away.
That
and mark off quick.
Yeah, that preference is not nearly as strong as it was in version 18, which is the version of the randomizer we used in the previous tournament, but that advice is still very good to follow.
Yeah, especially for things like the bonk rocks, which are so close to a save and quit location, so it takes very little time to get to them. So from here, would you go up the mountain without the lamp, using the gloves?
If I were confident in my ability to do dark rooms, yes, because hookshot will get you across to the east side of Death Mountain. Oh my gosh, there's the flute in Ice Rock Cave. Never mind.
All right, so Fred is actually going to do that. He's going to go through the dark room. This is, in my opinion, one of the easier dark rooms because there's so few paths and they're so straightforward. But that open up the mountain, looks like Jighart's going to go to Kakariko Town one more time in the light world to activate this flute. And he may head up to the mountain as well.
Yeah, that's never a wasted trip to activate the flute.
Oh no, you want to do that pretty quickly. Ooh, he's going to do a super speed here. Nice.
His hookshot old man says, "Here you go, Shiny. Thank you for getting me through the room. Here's some money for your travels." So you can do the same super speed glitch with the hookshot, makes it much easier to do that super speed. But as Fred just demonstrated there, it can make it a little bit difficult to control Link.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so with the mirror, he can go right to Hera from here and then check out East Death Mountain afterwards.
And as long as they're... Okay, here we go. We have pendants at Mire and green pendant at Pod. All of the other dungeons are crystals. I did not see which one was 5. Scudge, did you pick that up?
I did not. Okay, so Fred's about to check this tablet. He won't be able to actually acquire the item, but you can at least see what the item is to see if he'll ever have to come back here. Very small detour there to know for sure that he'll never have to come back for that.
So again, here Fred is just hoping that there's not an item in the basement, because without a fire source, he's not going to be able to get it. Fred says, "You know what? I know this is the Fisher-Price shield, but I'll take it anyway."
Yeah. If you want a good shield, you got to pick up the bad ones first.
Right.
All right, he got the big key in the lobby, so he does not have to go to the basement, at least to complete the dungeon. But there's still a chance that there might be an item there.
There is one more item hiding out here in Tower of Hera, and as long as it does, up on the 3rd floor there's a section with a bunch of pots under which there is a heart under each one of them. Let's see if he can get all the way up there. He gets breathed upon. He will be toast.
Oh yeah, no bomb jumps for him either. He does have the hook shot, so he doesn't need to bomb jump. So that's good.
The hook shot and the boots, so he can... Oh, there you go. He's got a couple hearts there.
He'll bomb jump anyway. Usually you do want to bomb jump across instead of using the hook shot because it's easier to get back that way, but if you have the boost, it's not really necessary.
Right, well, there will not be an item in the dungeon. That was the 2nd item for Tower of Hera. Jighart, though, is going to check out # things in Zelda's chest down in the basement.
Ooh, Zelda's holding on to the rolling papers.
Yeah.
All right,
it's a family-friendly stream.
All right, Moldorm has 12 hit points. His sword does 2 points of damage with every attack that it has. So you can have hit him 6 times total. After 5 hits, Moldorm gets mad and goes a little faster. In some ways, that actually makes some attacks easier because it's a little bit safer to dash through him when he's moving faster. Unfortunately, he did fall. Oh, and Jig's doing the dark room.
Trolling.
We can use our audio to determine if he opens the chest. We mentioned earlier. Yeah, so Moldorm is going to heal every time you fall. It's a really unique boss fight in a couple ways. For one thing, it's the only one in a large room, which means there's actually special code to handle the dropping of the pendant compared to every other room. It's also the only one that you can leave without using any glitches, usually unintentionally, is when you leave this room.
Moldorm's mad here. Come on, there we go. Red gets it. Now, obviously, not going to be anything but the crystal here because we know that there are no other items left in Hera. Red picked up his first crystal at only about 15 minutes in. That's a pretty good rate there, but still, he cannot complete either of the dungeons that he has access to in the light world. Now, he will here be heading to East Death Mountain, where he's going to have access to 7 items. Let's see if one of those is a progression item.
Yeah, you always expect to find something on Death Mountain, just because there's so many item locations. But you don't always find something.
Block erase glitch with the magic mirror. Alright, nothing doing in the first cave here, but there are 5 more coming up here in another mini Moldorm cave.
I always love the mini Moldorms. They're one of the enemies with the least actual intelligence, but still one of the most difficult ones to actually engage in combat.
I agree. I have gotten trolled by those darn things almost as much as I have by their big brother.
Yeah, the fire rod.
Fire rod! Alright, now Desert Palace is now completable.
Yeah. Yeah, the Moldorms, they'll do like 7 random movements alternating between like a turn and a straight, and then they'll move towards the player on like the 8th, I think. Something like that. I have to double check to be exactly right, but they do target the player sometimes. That's not just the way they seem to behave. So that's
yeah, fungus on the floating island.
Yeah. Not something you like to see. You want to know for sure if you have to come back for that item or not.
Right.
And unless he finds the Titan Mitts here, he's not going to be able to get that now. And even if he did, he'd also have to find the Moon Pearl. And you're not going to find both of those in the same chest.
Unfortunately. It's randomized, but not like that.
Not quite.
You got to think, particularly in this version of the logic, you got to think Fred's heading straight for Desert Palace.
I would think so.
And Desert Palace is one of those places, there's only 2 items, 2 unique items in Desert Palace, but it seems to disproportionately have good progression items in it.
Yeah, there's 2 inside the dungeon, and the first time you visit the overworld screen, you can have 2 more available to you, Agana and the ledge item. So still a fairly lucrative trip overall, and of course the crystal is going to be the most important thing, probably.
Only $50 sitting on the ledge there. Not quite what Fred wanted to see, but he's still going to go ahead into Desert for its crystal and its 2 unique items. You got to think at this point, there's got to be a progression item of some sort in here. Or a sword upgrade, which means Aghanim.
Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't even be trying to avoid Aghanim too strictly at this point, considering what they have, and what's remaining. If I did pick up a sword or a cape, I might go there right away. And he hasn't done the rest of Hyrule Castle either, so he could make a single trip there to do the basement and the upstairs.
Hitting up the spiral cave here, he's going to be not terribly happy with the piece of heart. If you're going to find something that's not a progression item, piece of heart's probably one of the better things to find. But And there's the big key. That is one nice thing about finding the mirror so early, is the ability to mirror back to the beginning of a dungeon like Fred just did. Cut down on your exploration time significantly.
Yeah, those are the kind of things you see in Randomizer that you'd never see in a regular run.
Right. Looks like the second item for Desert Palace is going to lie with the Landmalas today.
Yeah, and that's not too problematic when he's going to drop a crystal anyway.
No, not at all.
Ah, he is going to pick up those 50 rupees. Yeah, that puts him over 500. So
Exactly.
That's-
So probably his next trip out of here. Now, interestingly enough, we see that Fred has not found the flute.
yeah, he might actually be waiting for the flute to make the trip to the Ice Rod Cave a little bit quicker, and that's unfortunately gonna never happen.
Absolutely. See Jig going through Tower of Hera. Fred has already completed that. There are going to be no surprises, at least for the audience, in Tower of Hera. But we are very interested in seeing what item is going to be with the Landmalas here in Desert Palace. Are they hiding a progression item? Again, this version of the logic, much more likely to find those progression items in dungeons. So
Yeah. All right, Lamolas is going to be 3 worms with 16 hit points each. The Fighter Sword does 2 damage with every attack. Fire Rod does 8, so he's going to try to hit him each twice with the Fire Rod. He has enough magic to fire 7 times, so a little bit more than enough to use Fire Rod only. Ooh, and unfortunately he had 2 hits in the first one, but it didn't take damage twice. That does happen sometimes, I think, when you hit him too quickly. But then he got a double hit. It'll kind of balance itself out.
well done, Landmalas.
Okay.
And it's the Titan's mitts.
That is a progression item.
Palace comes through with a critical item. Pat just pointed out that now that he's got the mitts, he's probably even less likely to head over to Ice Rod Cave, and that may actually give Jighart, with the flute and much more freedom of movement, the ability to catch up on Fred a little bit.
Yeah, it might. The Titan Mitts aren't going to open up too many locations if he doesn't stumble upon the Pearl too soon. But the Titan Mitts and the flute kind of go together pretty well because they let you get into Mire, or at least the Mire overworld area. Imagine if we have Pearl and Checkerboard.
Right, so Fred doing what we talked about earlier. Okay, there's only 50 rupees sitting on Lake Hylia Island. So that's one of those things that you check early on in the game to see if you're going to have to come back to it later. So he knows he does not need to come back there. Interesting that Fred is going to check Hobo first and not heading up to Zora's domain.
Yeah, he'll probably do both. Just check this first, and then since he has the real flippers, he can jump out of here real easy. No worry about taking damage.
Just a piece of heart. Not terribly exciting. Jighart, definitely a couple minutes behind Fred here. He is just starting Desert Palace. But again, we'll see if that lack of flute is going to allow Jighart to catch up.
Yeah, that may be one of the most significant differences in this race here. It was just that flute.
Fred checking the new 2 items that we've had here. Just getting the Bloomerang and a bomb upgrade.
You know, I'd rather have a boomerang than no boomerang, but I'm still never really happy to pick it up.
That's right. Yeah. Particularly when you're looking for something else. I did not see the item on the ledge there here in Zora's. I'm missing a whole lot. I'm out of practice. I apologize, everybody.
I miss it too. I was closing my window because somebody's honking their horn outside.
All right, and here we are, King Zora.
Ooh.
The fairy bottle.
Again, that's another thing that I don't mind having, but I'm not happy to see it when I spend 500 rupees for it.
Yeah, that's like on the borderline of life lesson. No, it's a life lesson. Never mind. It's not on the borderline. That's a life lesson. Honk for Rando. Honk if you love Rando.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. But so this is interesting. Fred had not fallen down here to escape. Jighart has. So again, here we're seeing where our runners might end up evening out here.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, Jighart has been able to accomplish things a little bit faster. Like just getting to desert with the flute is a lot faster than walking down the overworld. So he's able to make up a little bit of time here and there. And I say make up time, but overall he might actually be ahead. It's just hard to be certain when they've accomplished different things.
So Fred here gonna go down, and we know that this trek through escape is not going to be terribly fruitful for him, but it is going to kind of even us out and see. We see how important that flute grab will end up being. Unfortunately, Fred is not going to find a sword upgrade or the cape here, which would enable him to go take care of Aghanim 1. But he does have the Titan's Mitts, so you wonder if going to the Dark World and hitting up, say, Thieves Town wouldn't have been the better option here.
Well, he's gonna have a hard time doing that without the Moon Pro.
Oh yeah. See,
But he may
I told
find
you I'm
that.
out of practice.
That's okay. I make mistakes like that all the time. But yeah, he if he finds the Moon Pro like in Sahajrula's house, it's just gonna delay him finding the flute even longer.
You know, with this particular version being so weighted towards dungeons, you wonder why neither one of our runners have dropped into Eastern yet. I know they can't complete it without the bow, but there's a possibility that all three of Eastern Palace's items might be attainable without the bow.
Yeah, for sure. Although without the bow or the lamp, you're not going to be forced to go there. But of course, it's still possible, at least to get all the items without the lamp. But yeah, I think that's where Fred's heading right now.
Sahajrula and then probably into Eastern Palace, if I had my guess.
Yeah, I think he'll do Sahajrula and Eastern, unless he finds something in Sahajrula's house that motivates him to go somewhere else first.
I like Pearl.
Right.
Somebody is really impatient outside your door there, Scudge.
I have no idea what's going on out there. I kind of live in I don't want to say the hood, but it's like kind of a rough neighborhood.
Triple pieces of heart in Sahajrula's closet. Wow.
That's kind of disturbing. Cut a heart into little pieces, and what happened to the other quarter?
Little known secret, Sahajrula is Jeffrey Dahmer's father.
Oh no. All right, here we go. Eastern Palace time.
And Jighart is testing out. What is he doing?
That is an adorable sprite. It's a pug with a
really is.
bunny costume. Yeah, he's going to try to Super Bunny in here. He's going to try to by mirroring on the same frame that he enters. Ooh, and there's your
There's
sword
a
upgrade.
sword upgrade.
Uh-oh.
Great minds think alike.
All right, so we know that at the very least the pearl can't be here because they're never required to do the super bunny. But there's another sword
But it
upgrade.
is. Yeah.
It's good to find. It is.
Checkerboards could be extremely important though, because that would be accessible in the logic.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be nothing.
Oh, no, nothing there.
All right.
Although
so
these,
does that mean that there is going to be something else in the Eastern Palace?
I think there has to be.
I think so.
Oh, wrong button there, Fred.
Oh, he looked at the map right before he picked it up. Oh, and there's King's Tomb still.
It's true, and
Yeah.
Jighart should be headed there right now. There he goes. It's like you knew that he was headed there. There's the blue mail.
That's okay. Ah, there it is.
There's the moon pearl. King's Tomb hiding the moon pearl.
And this opens up a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Jighart is now at a significant advantage. The longer it goes without Fred checking King's Tomb, the better it's going to be for Jighart.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jighart straight over to the Dark World. He's got easy access to 2 crystal dungeons. He can beat Skullwoods. He can almost certainly, he can certainly beat Thieves Town. He can't necessarily full clear it without the hammer, but that's only one item that he won't be able to access. So with any luck, he'll be able to full clear both of those 2 dungeons.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say this, I'm a big fan of just finishing Thieves Town, even if you don't have the hammer. If it's a crystal and you're going through Village of the Outcast, you might as well.
That has burned me once, and as human beings, we always remember the one time we got burned rather than the vast majority of the time when we don't.
Yeah, I guess that's true. One item found so far in Skullwoods is a boomerang. There's only 2 items here, but there's a lot of keys and chests. Well, there's a few. I guess 3 or so, but still lots of, we'll say, useless items.
Oh, absolutely. And Jighart does have the book and the mirror, so I gotta think we're gonna see a pedestal check here as well.
Oh, we might. Yeah, and it looks like Fred actually did come to the Ice Rod Cave. That's
he's gonna be a little upset to find that out.
Huh. He threw the bomb. He may have thought that was the last accessible location. That's why he threw the bomb, because he was like, I can't believe I didn't come here. But he hasn't checked King's Tomb yet, has he?
Does not have the burl. So Jighart not going to go back down and check the big key chest. Probably a good play, because there's only 1 item left here in Skullwoods. 2 of them are in the last section over here, so we'll see how Jighart plays it here. If he just goes straight to Mothula and hopes for a good item there, or if he goes for that treasure chest right there. Nope, he does not. He's just going to hope for the best with Mothula. Can't blame him on that.
Yeah, I mean, and even if Mothula doesn't give you an item, as soon as, it warps you back after killing him, you're right. Where do you want to be to get to that chest anyway?
Indeed.
Fire Rod is such a powerful item in this game.
Oh my god! If you have half magic, it's even better. Might be one of the reasons that the developers took the quarter magic out, because quarter magic plus Fire Rod equals broken game.
Oh yeah.
Although it was fun when you got that 1 out of 3 chance of getting the quarter magic, and he said, "All right, it's flame on."
Oh, for sure. All right. Master Sword isn't the best to have against Mothula. Takes 8 hits with it, but Mothula unfortunately does not take damage whenever you knock him back into spikes, no matter what weapon you use. Fire Rod does the same damage as the Master Sword. You're just going to have to chase him down and just hack away at him for a while. And where are we going to see Fred go now? I'm afraid he might try to go to Aghanim without the lamp.
Oh my gosh. I
Ah,
had respect if he did.
Oh.
He is getting owned by that spear thrower.
and finally Moth goes down with the assistance of the good bee. Yeah, I think he may be a bit stumped right now. I hate when this happens.
You got the mitts and the Titan's mitts and the flute. Come on.
Yeah, you don't
Nowhere to go.
always. It's weird because you don't try to go to that location individually. It's usually done as part of a larger sequence, and so it's kind of hard to remember it by itself. Yeah, he's thinking that he's forgotten something that he thinks he's checked. He's going to recheck locations. Oh, and there's the last sword upgrade in Skull Woods there. Okay, so all 4 swords should be acquired probably by both players.
Maybe,
Since one
because
was
remember,
Eastern.
yeah, it was early in Eastern, and it doesn't look like Jighart's going to need to go into Eastern.
Dropping a few bombs, possibly by accident. Oh yeah, he might not. You know, and Fred might actually. Oh, he's gonna get his pearl here. Probably
There
a
we
little
go.
annoyed that he forgot about that location, but it's good now. He'll be progressing now.
So, nothing good on the pedestal, just a heart container. We gotta believe now Jig is gonna be headed straight into Thieves Town. Fred probably going to do the same thing unless he does Skullwoods first.
Yeah, which I probably would. If you have the mitts, I'd probably do Skullwoods first. And the reason I say if I have the mitts is because you can do Skull and then Thieves, and then or I'm sorry, you can do Skullwoods and then get back to the Dark World very quickly by mirroring and fluting the town. If you don't have the mitts, you'd have to go to Skullwoods and take a long path to get back to the Dark World, or a long path to get back to Thieves Town. So I'd probably do Thieves Town first in that case. No idea if it's actually more efficient. That's just what my instincts would tell me to do.
It's very interesting to see. We are nearly 40 minutes in, and look at all of the required items we don't have. We don't have the bow. We don't have the ice rod. We don't have any medallions, so we certainly can't get into Turtle Rock. We don't have the lamp. We don't have the Cane of Samaria. We don't have the hammer. After 40 minutes in on this game.
Yeah, we got a lot of good movement items early, and it took pretty much a full clear light world for both of them to be able to access Dark World. With so much opened up all at once now. And with all those, personally, I actually like when a seed is pretty stingy in the early game, because that way it feels like more decisions that you make later are going to be good decisions. If there's only like one item remaining in a lot of locations, then the variability based on where you decide to go first, second, third, whatever, is so much higher. When you have more items remaining, more decisions are going to be good decisions, and it feels like it has a higher consistency that way. So this is a seed I would probably enjoy playing.
I'm going to go ahead and answer a question for the chat here. We got somebody who's new and asks, is Ganon's Tower hammer possible? He says he's new to this. So it is not. And the reason it is not is because the hammer is required for many things, but one of them would be Swamp Palace. You have to have the hammer to beat Swamp Palace. And since Swamp Palace is a crystal, the hammer cannot possibly be in Ganon's Tower.
Right. In this seed in particular, that's the case. They would have every dungeon that gives a crystal would have to not require the hammer, and unfortunately, Swamp Palace, Ice Palace, Turtle Rock,
Odd.
And Palace of Darkness, yeah, all require the hammer. So more than 3. So we can't have all dungeons requiring a hammer to not have crystals.
The hammer has more dependencies than any other item in Link to the Past. So it will always be a required item pre-Ganon's Tower.
That's right. Yeah, pretty good moth fight there, Fred.
Very
Moth,
good.
Came off the spikes a lot there in the middle.
Right, so Jighart, again, not going to be able to get all of the items here in Blind's dungeon. I have unfortunately not been counting the items, so I do not know if... I don't know where he stands on the item count for Thieves Town right now.
I like how when you choose a different sprite, sometimes the palette affects other sprites in the game. So this looks like this maiden here had an accident trying to bleach her hair. That's what it looks like.
It's not the
Accidentally
maiden
bleached her
anymore,
face.
it's the crone. You know, maiden, mother, and crone. We got the crone this time.
All right, see how this blind fight goes. Not a terrible fight when you have 11 hearts going into it.
Oh, be better if he had the fire shield, but he's going to be just fine here.
Yeah.
He can almost face tank it. Blind drops Bombos.
Bombos is required for Misery Mire, but Misery Mire's dependent, so may not actually be required to be used.
On Scotch is V26. You know they're going to have to go into every dungeon.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And we also don't know what medallion is required for Turtle Rock, and we know Turtle Rock is a required dungeon, so once we get that intel, that would be very important. So Fred not going in? Okay, he is going into Thieves Town. Never mind. Faked me out. Did a head fake.
Yeah,
so
not a
Jighart,
bad call.
Jighart going to hit the digging game. Then he's probably going to run back up and get the froggy up here. Reason being, you cannot go to the digging game if you have the frog or the lunchbox in tow. So he's going to knock this out first, then probably go pick up the frog and take him home.
Yeah, the reason for that is actually because the timer that the digging game uses one of the variables in RAM that's also used for some property of followers. They didn't have to do it that way, but that's just the way it is. So they don't let you have a follower. Ooh, accidentally fell down there. That's because he was using super speed. When you have super speed activated, if you touch a ledge, even for a single frame, you jump off of it instantly. So you got to be very careful around ledges when using that glitch.
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of times I've fallen down Death Mountain using super speed.
Oh yeah.
So we got a lot of items we need to find here.
All right. Without the hammer, Jighart has an interesting situation here. If he wants to powder the bats, he'll have to lose his warp to the Dark World. He'll actually have to leave it behind. So if he chooses to do that, he'll have to get back to the Dark World some other way, or just not do that at all. Yeah, it looks like he's going to forego it for now.
With Lunchbox and... So yeah, I think he's going for quantity here because he can get 2 more items plus Hype Cave on the way to taking the Lunchbox back, as opposed to the single item from Bat, which I mean, frankly, it's kind of a low percentage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so he'll be able to check a lot of locations. This is a pretty common Southern Dark World loop here. Dark World plus whatever Light World locations you can mirror to, which there will be a couple. This cave right here, as well as Bombos at the end, the Bombos tablet.
Haunted Grove is gonna give. Oh wow, Jighart's in the money over here. Too bad we couldn't find all of those 300 rupee drops before we went to Zora. Got that silly life lesson.
Yeah. So the chest location will actually be cached in RAM if you leave it behind, as long as you don't warp between the worlds or save and quit or anything. So in some places you can leave it and then dash a long distance away to move faster and then just go back for it afterwards. I saw him do that in the Haunted Grove, and sometimes people will do that to get to the Hype Cave.
Looks like he's just gonna check Bombo's tablet first and then head over to Hype Cave.
Yeah, that's probably fun. If you, well, without the hammer, he won't be able to go north from there. Maybe if he finds it along the way, he'll be able to ride a little more efficiently.
From the heavens falls 3 bombs.
I feel a little scared if bombs sort of falling out of the sky.
No, he doesn't have everything he needs for Swamp Palace. He doesn't have the hammer.
Now, unfortunately, there's only a single item location that you can check in Swamp without the hammer. There's 2 chests, but one is guaranteed to be a small key.
And sometimes still the best, Hype Cave. Let's see if it proves to be hype for Jighart today. Silver arrows is a nice way to start.
Yeah, not a bad thing to have. And ooh,
No Hype Cave today.
not so hype.
Fail.
Bomb that guy.
Jighart can't go anywhere. Ah, here we go. Is he just gonna YOLO the Lake Hylia Island item here? Looks like he will.
Yeah, I suppose so. Doesn't need more rupees.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but that's not bad routing.
He hasn't checked Hobo yet either. Okay, now on your right screen here, Fred is about to check Bat. He is taking the risk. Let's see if this pays off. The odds are pretty good right now, considering how many items we have outstanding.
Oh.
Oh, but no.
Yeah, the mitts are always going to be required. You need them to get to the Dark World on Death Mountain, so they're the only way to get to Galen's Tower. That's a question from the chat.
The only way to get to Turtle Rock as well.
That's right.
Although Turtle Rock is not always required. Jighart having the problem that I often have trying to get into that whirlpool.
Yeah, the collision detection on it is a little wonky. Uh-oh.
Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with the stream.
Yeah, we're just going to have to... Well, okay, we know Jighart's going to Zora's Domain, and he's going to check the Waterfall of Wishing items while he's there, probably. We know there's nothing good there for him, and Fred's probably going to follow the exact same path that Jighart followed earlier in Southern Hyrule. He's going to have to go a little out of his way to get back into the Dark World if he wants to do that right away. But because he's going a different way to get back into the Dark World, it's also possible that he might do North Hyrule stuff instead. In which case we would be seeing new stuff. So we're either a bunch of stuff that we've already seen is happening, or or possibly something new.
Time for Radio Rando. Yes, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, on today's edition of Radio Rando.
Maybe we can pull up the runner streams.
See if we
Give the radio cast. Looks like Fred has somehow found himself in Misery Mire. So that's new.
That's a bold move.
Yeah, I guess since he was in the late world, he decided to just fly down there and head in there. Without the Candace Samara, he won't be able to complete the dungeon. But since it is a pendant dungeon, he may not want to complete it anyway. He may just want to search it for items.
Meanwhile, Jighart is headed into Eastern Palace. He's going to pick up the Butter Sword here, but not much else.
Yeah, he's going to have to start entering incompletable dungeons, actually, at this point. Ice Palace without the hammer, maybe Swamp without the hammer if he's feeling really crazy. Palace of Darkness without the bow or the hammer. Lots of mediocre options, and you got to pick one. Oh, well, we are going to see the hammer in Misery Mire, actually, so that's a very good play there.
Oh, wow. Diving into uncompletable dungeon and finding a progression item. That is, and not only that, Misery Mire is pendant. Wow.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how version 8.26 trolls you constantly.
That's right. Yeah, so with that, I think that makes Swamp completable. Swamp was another pendant dungeon, though, wasn't it?
No, Swamp is a crystal dungeon.
Oh, it was. Okay.
There's actually
yeah.
crystal number 5 as well.
Crystal number 5, there's 6 potential items in the dungeon, and it's completable with what they have, fully completable. So I like to go there early, but I've been hearing that people are really putting off Swamp these days and favoring, less potentially lucrative dungeons like Ice Palace or Misery Mire, because anecdotally they're finding more progression items there these days.
if the stats necessarily bear that out, but as we discussed earlier, you remember what you experienced, particularly when it was negative.
Yeah.
Tend to ignore the actual statistics. That's just basic human psychology.
Yeah, darn human psychology.
Fred still running around Misery Mire. I don't know how many items from Mire he's actually gotten, but Mire only has 2 items.
Yeah,
So
it must have just been one.
Jighart is heading out of Eastern Palace at this time. He is fluting. We'll see where he heads now. He is heading back up to Death Mountain.
Oh yeah, neither of them have done Dark Death Mountain, have they?
Yeah, no, they have not. So Jighart could be on his way to a significant advantage at this point. Well, I take that back. I forgot. Fred has the hammer. Jighart does not.
Yeah, that hammer's going to make a big difference. Jighart could find other important items here. He could find the Candace Samaria or the bow, something like that. He'll probably pick up his mushroom while he's up here, which was on the Death Mountain floating island.
We are doing our best to